Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, the question, how is Nigeria the giant of Africa? Nigeria calls itself the giant of Africa. Well, I guess they're the giant of Africa because they have the largest population and they do the most bragging. So I guess if you count bragging as part of the giant tree, then okay, that would put them in contention. But let them tell it, you would think Nigeria was the most developed, the most sophisticated country in the world with the smartest people and the greatest of everything that ever was. But it turns out they don't even have emergency services for their 200 million plus citizens.
Family, rest in peace to the people that died in that Joshua Anthony crash. But I'm gonna tell you one thing, family. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never going to Nigeria, family. I ain't never going to Nigeria, family. I'm good. Ain't no way you gonna tell me they don't have no ambulance. Ain't no way you gonna tell me they don't have no emergency services. It ain't no way, family. No way. Huh? This is 2025. Right? People always talking about, yo, we have the kingdom, we ancient, we this, we that. We are the cradle of civilization. And you don't have no basic emergency services? That's crazy, family. That's not a good look. I ain't gonna lie to you, fam.
This is the British Nigerian boxer named Joshua Anthony. He was in a terrible car crash in Nigeria a few weeks ago. And they didn't even have emergency services to come and get him. The police had to come and get him. It is reported that they hit a stationary vehicle that was parked along the expressway at a very high rate of speed. And that is what caused that tragic accident. They were trapped in the car, and they didn't even have the jaws of life that we use to rescue people when they're trapped in a vehicle after a terrible accident. And they're calling themselves the giant of Africa, and they don't even have the life preserving services to help their people survive something like this. The crash occurred on a major thoroughfare, it says, the Lagos Ibadan Expressway, which links Ogun State to Lagos, the country's economic capital. So you're near the country's economic capital. You have a serious car wreck in which 2 people died, and you don't even have ambulance services to come and pick these people up? My goodness, that is unbelievable. Lagos is where a lot of the Igbos live, and they think they're the superior of all of them, I think. That's what I think. They don't even have state emergency services. This guy just won a major fight in Miami, and he's over there, I guess, visiting family in Nigeria. And they say the roads and infrastructure are horrible in Nigeria. But anyway, he was hurt, but his 2 companions lost their lives. 2 members of his boxing team lost their lives, which is so tragic, and condolences to their families. But how are you the giant of Africa and you don't even have emergency services for your population? According to internet sources, Nigeria currently faces significant challenges with its emergency services, which are often fragmented and underdeveloped. There is no unified national emergency number or GPS-enabled dispatch system, leading to a lack of coordination and response time. Overall, the quality of emergency services in Nigeria is below standard, with many areas lacking trained personnel and adequate resources. Efforts are needed to improve the system and ensure that emergency services are accessible and effective for all citizens. So they really just don't have a national emergency system. They don't even have an emergency number. They don't have a 911. This article also said that many citizens prefer to handle emergencies themselves rather than seeking help from trained professionals, which can result in preventable fatalities. That's confusing to me. I don't know why they would rather handle emergencies themselves rather than seek professional help unless they don't trust the professionals. So that goes all the way back to that tribalism stuff that they have going over there. And I also came across this article in Punch. I don't know if it's a magazine or an online blog, but it says Dead Before Help Arrives: How Nigeria's Emergency System is Failing Its Citizens. And I'm just going to share a portion of that article. Nigeria's emergency care system is grappling with a range of serious challenges, with several issues emerging as particularly troubling. According to stakeholders, including first responders and first aid professionals, key obstacles to effective emergency response include the increasing obsession with social media content creation, a widespread lack of first aid knowledge, poor management or inaccessibility of emergency care funding, and a pervasive fear of legal consequences when offering assistance. So that's a governmental problem right there. But I found it particularly interesting that they said that a key obstacle to effective emergency response is the obsession with social media content. So they're so busy on social media that they can't provide first aid care for people in need. In today's climate of frequent emergencies, ranging from building collapses and cardiac arrests to severe traffic accidents, bystanders are alarmingly prioritizing filming over helping. First aiders report a disturbing rise in people reaching for their phones to record traumatic events rather than offering immediate support. They attribute this trend not only to indifference, but also to a lack of basic first aid education among much of the population. Well, that's just scapegoating. That's scapegoating the public. The government should have an emergency care service in place for the people of Nigeria. It shouldn't be left up to the families or bystanders to come and provide first aid care, particularly when they're not trained. So they're just trying to pass the buck on and trying to make it seem like the Nigerian people are not responsible because they're recording these events on social media. People are doing that all over the world, not just in Nigeria. So I mean, I call BS on that. So this article goes on to criticize the people of Nigeria, citing incidents where there was a need for emergency care and the people were recording it instead of trying to provide aid. So, who would blame the Nigerian people for not trying to administer first aid care to someone who's been in a serious accident or who's having some kind of traumatic experience when they're not trained in that? That would open them up to litigation. This article also said that. So, you're going to be dragged into court and sued for trying to help somebody who died or whose situation got worse because you tried to help and then they blame it on you. So it's unfair to the Nigerian people. This is just the government scapegoating the people and trying to shift the blame from the government to the people. The government should have a system in place to provide emergency care services for people who are in traumatic situations. Now, what I would say to the Nigerian people who are quick to say things like this, telling white people, love to run up to white people and tell white people that they came here in planes, but we came here in chains. They're absolutely right about that. But when you came here in a plane, your frame of reference is back to Nigeria, back to a third world country that lacks basic infrastructure. Your road infrastructure is terrible. Your medical care infrastructure is terrible. There's food insecurity among many of your citizens and many other deficiencies in what is supposed to be the giant of Africa. So maybe instead of addressing the Black American issues, maybe you could speak to your government and tell them that instead of taking the money that they're fleecing from their resources in Nigeria and buying houses and estates all over the world, and their wives going to Paris and London and Milan shopping and throwing away money, maybe they should put some of that money into fixing your infrastructure. Maybe instead of addressing Black Americans and our issues, maybe you need to focus on your own issues because they are much worse than ours. We're good over here. But anyway, y'all, let me know what you think about this. Think about Nigeria calling themselves the giant of Africa and don't even have EMS services for the largest population in Africa. It is shameful, in my opinion. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video and have a good day.